Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Story Archives. I'm your host, Mario Busto, alongside
the other host, Zachary Newton. Welcome back.
We are back with episode 4 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, titled, Zach?
7. Just 7.
Just 7. Boy, it seems like this was the episode for this show to pick up traction. Mm-hmm. All the normies are talking about the show now on X. They weren't talking about it through episodes 1 through 3,
mm-hmm.
but it seems like episode 4 did something. It struck a chord in the core Game of Thrones audience, which we know is probably the biggest audience in the world in terms of TV show, right? The only thing I would put close to it is something like Marvel, or Marvel's bigger for sure, but you get my point.
Yeah, it's a big universe. They've got a really big following. That's certain. This was my favorite episode of the season so far. It was absolutely phenomenal. It's the only episode I've watched in a while where I'm like, dude, I got goosebumps at the end of this thing.
There's no doubt. I think that was the common response from everybody out there.
Yeah.
That this was peak Game of Thrones, to the point where people are saying this is the highest rated Game of Thrones, the highest rated episode in the Game of Thrones universe. Technically, that's what this episode was.
Wow.
Now, I personally think that's taking it a bit too far. I'm not saying that from a critique standpoint. I'm just saying I think people have missed the peak Game of Thrones so much.
Yeah.
That the fact that this brought us back to it is the best thing ever. Now, someone on Twitter also made a good point about the show was at its best when it was the purest, when it was the most gurmy, when it was the most canonically true to the source material as possible. I think every time we've seen Game of Thrones get away from source material, whether that source material existed or ran out or not, the show suffered for it, right?
Yeah.
I heard something on another podcast the other day that even season 2 of House of the Dragon was compromised.
Yep.
And then I've also seen reports that Ryan Condal, who was in charge of it, and Gurm no longer get along. But in season 1 of House of the Dragon, if you watched any behind the scenes, any sort of lead up interviews between those two, it was like, oh, lovers at first sight, honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
So Ira Parker, message to you, my friend, if you're, basking in the glory of being the showrunner, the selected showrunner for A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, learn some lessons from the ones who did it wrong. The further away you go from the source material to do your own thing, right, the more the show seems to suffer from it. Now, whether that's the case or not with every single person, maybe Ira can be the one to be the first one who deviates from the source material and makes it better. But as of yet, season 2 of House of the Dragon felt a little bit, not like a drag, but definitely didn't live up to the peak of season 1.
No, not at all.
And by the way, that show, because the way A House of Blood and Fire, for whatever Fire and Blood, whatever the hell it's called.
If you're talking about the book, I don't know the name of the book.
Yeah, the book. Because that one's written almost like a shortened Wikipedia page, there's a lot of creative freedom in that to do whatever you want. And the fact that season 2 still suffered, despite that level of creative freedom, is pretty telling. So, not to dwell on negatives, because it's not a negative conversation, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is the best that this show has ever been, going back to when Game of Thrones was peak, like season 5 Game of Thrones. Like, that's what the tone of this episode was. And I think it has paid for itself after the response I'm seeing specifically online from this show.
I've tried to avoid taking a look at anything because I didn't get to watch it when it first came out. I just watched it today, but incredible episode overall. I did notice the same thing, in like the channels on X or Twitter or whatever, about House of the Dragon kind of deviating. And you and I also commented on the fact that it was falling off. So I'm really happy.
And we didn't know, by the way.
Yeah,
we
true.
Didn't know. When we said that,
yeah.
we didn't know about the behind the scenes, ballonery going on.
No, I only just heard about that like maybe a week ago. So that's pretty fresh news for me. But I'm so excited for the next episode. I'm a little disappointed because don't we have to wait even a little more than a week now? Because this isn't dropping on like a Sunday night. I think the next one would happen on a Sunday. I'd have to double check the release date of the next episode. But
honestly, they're in a position right now, Zach, that if they truly wanted to, they could drop this Sunday night, and there would be no I don't think there'll be any penalty for it unless there's some sort of event that has occurred, right? But what would be better than putting a Game of Thrones commercial on the Super Bowl for anybody living under a freaking rock like Patrick Starr that doesn't know that this show's out to go and get an HBO subscription after the Super Bowl and go watch A Night of the Seven Kingdoms? Like, my first thing as somebody who likes to share good things with people, the first thing I wanted to do was, my dad loves Game of Thrones like me. We watched it together as well. But there's something fun about knowing something is so good for 4 episodes and knowing that you can share that with someone else and watch their reaction to the thing that you flipped out over, their reaction to Egg dropping the freaking twist that he's a Targaryen, or Baylor coming out of the freaking doors, that sound in the Game of Thrones theme happening. I mean, those moments are the ones that you want to see other people's reactions, you know?
Yeah, I was so excited to actually hear the theme song in this and not have it immediately followed up with somebody taking a massive shit. So that was great. I love that. I hope we get a little more of the theme song because it's so good. It is just so good.
No, I think they have to save it. You know what I mean? I think the way that song showed up in this episode, it's almost like a Michelin star. You know what I mean? You don't just give a Michelin star out to freaking Ruby Tuesdays, okay? Okay, you had a good burger there on a Tuesday night. That's fine. You don't get a Michelin star for it. You're doing your job, right? So there's there's levels to this thing, right? So you only get the Game of Thrones theme when you hit that vein. It's an unexplainable vein that occurs, and they hit it not just in that moment of the theme song kicking in, but thematically in the entire episode. There's things that occur in this that are so Game of Thronesy. One of them, or multiple, I can just start to stream them off, right? You get this sort of veiled mysticism, right? We're removed from the age of dragons, right? There's no longer the mystique of the Targaryens, right? There's no longer these people are demigods, you know? They're these people who tame wild beasts, right? You get more of the sense of the world that we are introduced to in the actual Game of Thrones series, where magic exists, but it's almost in the way that the West in real life has a skeptical eye towards the spiritual world, right? Every other country does not consider it odd about spirits and things that exist in a different plane or dimension. But in Game of Thrones, by the time we get to the dragons being extinct, people don't seem to believe in the magic that occurs in the world. And so you even see a little bit of that roll your eyes type of attitude from Dunk when Darren's telling him about the dreams he has and that my dreams are different, they come true. It's like, I like the way that Game of Thrones does magic, which we can get into some stuff about that, because it's not so Harry Pottery. It's not so, oh, buddy, over there's a wizard. No, it's like, yeah, he says he's a wizard, but half the time that shit works and half the time it doesn't work, you know? And that's what I love about the way they do it. Even so much so that, if you didn't notice, the woman who gives the prophecy in episode 3 is the same actress who was the barkeeper in episode 1.
Really?
And she had a strange red mark on her face, which is quite similar to one of who you're going to find, a character that exists in the world now. There's a character that exists in this world called Bloodraven. And it's not confirmed whether that it was him or not, but he's able to what do you call that? Shapeshift?
Shapeshift, yeah.
And take different forms to kind of do things. And he is in Game of Thrones. He does make an appearance, but
I'm glad you brought that lady up though, because it's been eating at me all week, because after the reveal of Egg being a Targaryen, I've been wondering, I'm like, man, like what she said has to be real, and I've just been going through my mind. So I have a theory question, I guess, but I might save it for later because I have no idea if it's realistic or not, or if it's completely off base. But I do agree. I like the way that they do the magic in this show. It's not too over the top, I think, for me. But one of the other things about this episode specifically that I liked, and what made it feel very Game of Thronesy to me, was in Game of Thrones, like, you're always dealing with these political figures. You're always dealing with the kings and royalty. And up until this point, like, we've gotten little bits of it here and there with Dunk, meeting all of these lords and whatnot. But this is the first one where you're like really up close and personal. Like, you're in the prison. You're talking to everybody that's in line for the throne. So very very high stakes environment. just like every episode of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I had a point I was gonna make about the prophecy and that stuff, but I guess I'll get back to it because I did lose my train of thought. But I was talking about the themes throughout and how it kind of hit this similar tone that we're used to in Game of Thrones. For example, prophecies do exist in the universe of Game of Thrones, but most of the time they come true in ways that you don't expect. They don't come true. It's not like 1 + 1 type of logic, right?
Yeah.
And they never really answer the questions of the prophecies in these series. It's always left kind of up to the audience to make sense of who was who and was that about him, was that about her, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The other aspect that reminded me so much of Game of Thrones in this episode was that it's this subversion of expectations that we're so known for in Game of Thrones, where a seemingly harmless or straightforward solution is made more complicated by a gray area decision made by a character, right? So what starts as a trial of combat turns into a trial of 7.
Yep.
And then what turns into Stefan volunteering and looking honorable in the tent turns into a totally Game of Thrones type move where he decides to turncoat and abandon Dunk for a lordship, right?
Yeah.
And those are the things that in Game of Thrones that no show has pretty much ever kind of nailed, right? Which is that these characters pivot. It's never like what they say is what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And so even so much so that, like, I don't know if you've ever dealt with somebody who kind of goes off the radar, but Sir Stefan goes off the radar and he doesn't come back the whole night. He says he's going to go get these knights, and you're thinking to yourself, something went wrong with this guy, right? To the point where, you know, when Egg shows up at the camp and says, Dunk, who do you have? He says, well, I got Raymond's cousin. And they both look at him like, who the hell is Raymond's cousin? And then when he sees Sir Lionel in the morning, he says, Stefan, thank you for answering Stefan's call. He's like, who's Sir Stevron? Like, nobody knows who the hell the guy is because the guy went rogue.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you know, someone you're depending on who kind of just goes rogue, and then you don't hear from him, and then you find out, oh, I can't make it, you know?
Yeah.
That type
While
of thing.
you're there.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So that sort of bit of Game of Thrones is so perfect. But then there's the other aspect, which is that sort of thing that you all feel like Dunk, right? You feel like, is there no honor? Like, there's literally no honor in this world, right? But then occasionally there's a guy who doesn't fit inside the mold of the expectation, like a guy like Baylor, right? A prince, heir to the Iron Throne, but an honorable guy, right? Who's trying to toe the line between all the BS of the systems that exist, but also remain honorable. And so when he comes out, you're like, oh, all right, so you still have your Ned Starks. You still have your people, hopefully with a happier ending.
Yeah.
But you still have these people who are fighting or bucking against the system of like this corrupt royal thing they got going on.
Oh yeah, Baylor coming out was such an epic moment. He's always seemed like, you know, a very moral individual, so I'm glad to see that at least somebody in the Targaryen family can set a positive example.
He's been likable
since the first moment he's been in the show.
Yeah, he's been instantly likable. I like his actor a lot too.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what his name is. Maybe you can pull
Bertie
it up.
Carvel.
Bertie Carvel.
Carvel. Yeah,
he's done a great job.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like a traditional Targaryen at all, because I believe his mother is from Dorne, if I'm not mistaken. But it's funny, you know, all of Mykar's sons look like Targaryens, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they all got the blonde hair. Yeah.
And 3 of them seemingly are useless, right? Or not useless, but in the sense one of them.
There's only 3 of them, so all 3 of them are useless. Is that what you're saying?
4 of them. There's 4 of them.
4 of them. Which one am I missing?
Yes, you're missing the Maester.
Oh.
We haven't met him yet.
Oh well, then there you
in
go.
The show. And they mentioned him in the previous episode. I believe. So you have Darren, who's the cowardly drunk, but who's also a prophet. You have Arian, who is essentially the hot-headed one, the Joffrey-like one, right?
Bright flame,
And this is very Joffrey-like, right? This is kind of reminds you of when Joffrey attacked the baker's boy in Game of Thrones, and then the dog defends him,
yeah,
right? The dog comes out and attacks, and then they end up killing Sansa's direwolf, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit like that, right? Where you're thinking to yourself, why are you doing this? Like, why are you elevating this? And that's really where the whole sort of rift begins between the Lannisters and the Starks. Not to mention the Bran being pushed off of the tower, but they didn't know it at that point. But it's kind of the same thing here. To not so far corrupted. Maekar feels a little bit like not the worst of guys, but somebody who doesn't have his house in order. So his sons are out of control.
Yeah.
And you do see a little bit of an affinity of Baelor towards Aegon, right? There's a little bit of a sort of fatherly type of approach to Aegon compared to the way he seems to see the others.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of a natural thing, especially with such a young kid. So I mean, I guess I could understand that, but
Yeah.
no, I completely agree.
It's funny, right? Because if you didn't notice, Dunk in the beginning when he's in the dungeon, visually, if you want to rewind it to that part,
Yeah.
it's the first frame of the episode, and kind of just watch it and put the brightness all the way up for yourself. It's literally the first frame.
This one right here?
No, first frame.
Bro, first frame of the episode is like...
Yeah, it's the first frame of the episode. Just watch it from there, right there.
Okay.
And like put the brightness up for yourself. And tell me visually, what is like the first thing that comes to mind when you see this? We'll see if it's the same thing that I thought of, but...
You're talking about when Egg walks in?
No, just this. Look at the screen here. What does this look like?
Doesn't it look like the like Winterfell prison or something? Or
To
the
me,
not the prison, like the underground where they bury their...
The crypt?
Yeah.
It's not a bad guess, but that's not where I was going with it. To me, it looks like a dragon eyelid. Almost like a scaled dragon eyelid.
So I didn't get the dragon eyelid, but it looked like somewhere a dragon had been, right? Like,
Yes.
you know, where they
Yes.
burn the rock or whatever. Like, that's
No.
kind of what it felt like. Dragonstone or something.
My thought process was like he's like in the heart of the dragon right here. He's in the freaking the middle of the beast, right? Mm-hmm. And then here comes Dunk, no longer in his little stable boy clothes. Now he's in his prince attire, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, like if you have a little kid in the family, and little kids do, you know, they act out or they misbehave, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a human's first instinct is to make excuses, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like if you say, why did you hit your brother, or why did you hit your sister?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're like, well, she did this. If you see this like moment between Dunk and Egg in the beginning of the episode,
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing that Egg is a little kid, right?
Yeah.
And everything that Dunk is asking him, he keeps making excuses. He says, well, I was supposed to be my brother's squire. So now he's passing the buck to his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then he say, well, why'd you shave your head? I didn't shave my head. My brother shaved my head. So he's still not accounting for the fact
Yeah.
that he had any sort of agency in what he did. They said, oh, did your brother make you not go back to the stable too and say that you were a stable boy? And then he stays quiet, right? And he starts to cry a little bit. And then he still tries to push back and says, but I was so disappointed that I couldn't be a part of the thing. And then he hits him with like the final reality check, like, oh, Mr. Little Silver Spoon is sad. Oh, that he couldn't be a squire in the thing. Oh, I'm sorry that the world doesn't have to stop for you. You know, so all of this is kind of like a little bit of a big brother moment for Dunk and Egg, right?
Yeah.
And you see the softness of Dunk too, right? Where he tells him, dry your tears. Because you could tell that he's like, you probably as a dad get it, you know, where
Yeah, you got
if
to
your
be
daughter's
firm, but compassionate
Yeah.
at the same time.
Exactly. And if your daughter starts to like cry a little bit, you're probably like a puddle. You're probably like, just dry your tears. Just stop it already. Yeah.
Stop
You're
crying. Just calm down.
You're 2 seconds from breaking the, you know, the facade of being firm, right?
Yeah.
And so immediately you see also when he goes to talk to Baylor, he says he's a good boy. You know, he's not a bad kid.
Yeah.
You know, but he has to have this sort of moment with him where he tells him like, you didn't do anything wrong. but you also did everything wrong at the same time. You did it with the wrong intent because you weren't honest, you know?
Yeah.
So, and now Dunk's going to get his head cut off.
Supposedly, maybe. I mean, I think, first off, I love that, you know, in the midst of all of this, Dunk is still candid with Egg, and he's real in every situation. Like, he seems to have really good integrity with everything going on. But yeah, this next episode, dude, the stakes are high, man. Like it could be anywhere from Dunk dies, which I doubt is going to happen. I would hope not. It'd be a very short story for him, all the way to Egg moving extremely far up the line of succession for becoming king. I mean, he's got his entire family and uncle, who's also in line, in the same room. They're all fighting each other. So,
yeah, it is a bit of a wild thing here. You know, when Dunk enters the room to talk to Baelor, you immediately see Baylor's a good guy. He tells Dunk to rise, you know, like almost immediately, and pours him a cup of something, and also tells the guards to go away. So he obviously knows that Dunk is not a threat. He has to go through this pointless ceremony because of the rules that are in place. But
yeah.
I also wondered, and probably a more studied person would know, I wonder what Baylor is studying when he walks in. Because my first thought was, I wonder if he's studying the various loopholes to get the hell out of this stupid situation. Whether it's trial by combat or maybe it's the trial of the 7 that he's looking at. But I wondered what he had open in his book, because he looked very, very preoccupied before Dunk walks in.
He did. I don't know where to begin guessing. I mean, like, I don't think it would be the Book of Knights or anything like that. Laws would make sense. Like, looking into the laws, the rules of a scenario like this, I could totally see. He didn't seem too prepared on, you know, what the 7 thing was. Like, it was just kind of like he was reaching for what that even meant, I guess, when
well, he seemed to know. That's where I disagree with you. I think he knew. He obviously knew. When you watch it, it's clear just based on his facial reaction. He knew. It was more of a facial expression of, I can't believe my spoiled ass nephew is going to invoke this 6,000-year-old thing because simply because he got offended by a girl doing a puppet show. You know.
Yeah.
Like, it's a joke. You know, you think about it. It's like bringing a stupid case to the Supreme Court. You know what I mean? It's like, are we really wasting our time with this? Like, you got on a power trip and you broke a girl's finger for no reason because you had an ego trip, and now we're going to invoke one of the most sacred, one of the most sacred exceptions in the law for this. It's a joke. It's kind of a good reflection of where the Targaryen dynasty is at this point in history.
Yeah. Any scenario that I've seen with the Targaryens has never really been positive. Even if you go back to, like, House of the Dragon, there's, like, some good moments with Rhaenyra, and I think there's some good moments at the beginning of Game of Thrones and whatnot, but they all just have this dark side to them. It's embedded somewhere deep in their DNA that they just can't seem to escape from. And maybe Baelor is, you know, not so evil, seemingly, in this so far, because he doesn't seem to be like a pure blood Targaryen, like with the whole inbreeding thing. I mean, he doesn't have blonde hair or anything like that, so yeah, I mean,
well, to be fair, I can't think of a show that was based around a leader in peacetime. You know,
yeah,
good show. I mean, you pick up House of the Dragon after, I think it's King Jaehaerys, who had like a very successful, peaceful reign.
Yeah.
And then all hell breaks loose after his succession because he didn't give it to certain people, right?
Yeah. And
Viserys, for the most part, had peace in the kingdom, and it's after he goes that things start to really hit the fan, right? And so it doesn't really make for a good show if the leadership is in the middle of peacetime, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a bit of a, for Baelor to step up and to defend Dunk and to fight on his behalf. It's a little bit deeper than just this guy's not evil. It's a little bit more of a perception thing too. It's the fact that if I don't do this, the only sort of picture that these people have in this town is the Targaryens killed an innocent knight following the oath that he swore to uphold because the grandson of the king decided to cut a girl's finger in half or break it off.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's probably thinking, this is beyond family at this point. I need to fight for the honor of the house name, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it is an oath that they've all sworn, right? Which is why it's even more wild that this bright flame guy is going to go off and break some poor girl's fingers.
Well, just think about what Fossil, he said, we were here longer than the Targaryens, and I reckon we'll be here longer after, right? So they probably know that all of this is very precarious without dragons now, and they don't want to create too much of a volatile situation. Think about when Arian stabbed the horse and the horse fell and broke the guy's leg.
Yep.
A riot broke out if the Kingsguard didn't go out there. The Kingsguard went out there and settled down the crowds, but that was about to be a riot of the villagers, right?
Yeah.
So, and if I'm not mistaken, a lot of these tournaments back in the medieval days, a lot of them was to kind of quell the restlessness in the crowds and to give them something to appease the people, right?
Yeah.
To ingratiate themselves. So him stepping up to fight, I think, was necessary. And it's not like he's the king, right? So, you know, he's not risking too much other than stepping up against the corruptness that's taking place in his house and being accountable
Yeah.
to it.
No, that's fair. I am very happy to see it. I am curious to know. I mean, there's got to be some Targaryen death in the next episode.
Well, I know.
Has to be.
But,
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
I know from what I can remember. I don't remember everything, by the way. I did not. Funny enough, I told you guys I'm really bad with audiobooks, so like most of the details escape me except for huge things. And you would think Baylor stepping up to fight with Dunk would be something I remember, but I did not remember it. So I have remembered other things, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, any other?
It seems though that there is going to be somebody's death based on Darren's prophecy.
Yeah, true. I mean, definitely based on that. There's. I mean, we've already got like what 2 prophecies in this. We're 4 episodes in. Well, I don't know if it's. Should you call it a prophecy, or is that just more of like a vision?
It's a dream until it comes true. I guess it's not a prophecy, right?
Yeah. So we've got 2 visions, which seems pretty serious, both involving the death of Targaryens. So, any other fun points of the? Oh, how'd you love the guy standing? I was totally shocked for a moment. I thought that big, tall guy standing up when Dunk was giving his great speech, I thought he was really going to fight. I was like, dang, we got some muscle, and he just rips one.
I was laughing at the fact that the kid behind him on the second. I watched this episode twice. The kid sitting next to him, I didn't realize it, but got a face full of fart. Face full. You know, I said I didn't remember Baylor stepping up for Dunk. So when I'm watching it, I'm like, damn, Baylor didn't even show up to the thing. You know, like I know Baylor has a son. We haven't met his son yet, Valor. Okay. When the doors opened, I thought it was gonna be his son, not Baylor, that came out. So I was a little bit shocked with the audience too. Obviously, we know that Dunk wasn't gonna, you know, not get his 7, right?
Yeah,
I feel like that was kind of a given. But nonetheless, I did love the scene with the blacksmith giving Dunk his gear for a copper. You know, it felt like I don't know, it just felt like the whole town coming behind him. You know?
Everybody wants to give one to the Targaryens. Like that's the vibe that I get. Like nobody really likes them, even though like maybe we're in peacetime, sure.
Yeah.
But
a little sad that we're not going to get a little bit of a hookup between Dunk and Tansel Toothall. Not even a goodbye. She ran away, which was pretty smart of her, to be honest with you. Went to Dorne, I think.
yeah, that's what I heard. She's going to Dorne. I mean, they might try to hunt her down. Who knows? I mean, it would be. I don't know that we're gonna like see a storyline like that. It wouldn't surprise me.
Stretching it too much, a spin-off.
It wouldn't surprise
The hunt for
another
Tansel
spin-off.
Toothall.
wouldn't be very
They
interesting.
do got to chill with the. I mean, they don't have to chill with the spinoffs, but they have to be very selective of what they decide to spin off. One of the key issues for me is that Game of Thrones ended poorly.
Yeah, very.
And so something that will always kind of not sit well with me is the fact that those last like 2 seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were pretty underwhelming. Mainly the last season. for me.
The last season was the worst. The one before that was not that bad.
Yeah. So knowing that where everything ends is very difficult. You know, like I love the ending of Harry Potter, right?
Mhm.
So when you do the spin-offs, I know like where we end up eventually, and I like that. But I didn't like where we ended up in Game of Thrones in the end.
No,
It wasn't
I didn't
even
either.
like Stranger Things where I thought the last season sucked.
It was horrible.
And I thought it was like Zoomer brain rot for a season. I literally thought it was. That's what I thought it was. Really, the exposition every 2 minutes was clearly. If you watch the Matt Damon Ben Affleck interview of how Netflix execs are apparently making you rehash what the plot is or the name of the movie while in the script multiple times. Felt like there was a bit of that. Can't prove it, but why else would you have your characters constantly giving exposition on everything that's about to happen, unless you think that your audience is not really paying attention or is dumb or doesn't know what's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much more different than this world of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, where nothing is really spelled out for you. You're experiencing the twists and turns as they're happening and having to deal with the thoughts that occur after seeing it. By the way, major Raymond Fossaway is a real one, bro. Good luck finding a friend like Raymond Fossaway in this world.
Oh yeah, dude gets
A guy
knighted and
who
everything.
you met like 4 nights ago. His cousin's a little cowardly, you know what, and gets knighted. Sir Lionel's kind of just like chaotic good, right? He's not really chaotic neutral. He might be chaotic neutral. It seems like to him it's one of those things where like, this hasn't happened in 700 years.
Mhm.
I have to be here. What are people going to say about me in the history books if I didn't compete in this thing? So that's kind of his stance. Sir Stefan was going that route, and he technically did. He just decided to trade to try to be on the winning team, right? He decided to do a little bit of a free agency move to the favorites, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we don't know Sir Stefan's name in the history books so much. Like he'll be remembered for what he did here.
Lionel kind of reminds me of the Pedro Pascal character. Like I feel like seeing him in a fight.
Like Pedro Pascal or
Pedro
like the
Pascal
Viper?
from Game of Thrones.
Okay, the Viper.
Yeah. Like I feel like he would have some sort of similar style where he's just very energetic, like dancing around and shit and having fun. Like this guy just seems like chaos.
In the energetic sense, I could see, but he's supposedly a berserker. Like he's like a battle axe user or something like that. Whereas if you remember, the Viper used a spear.
I do remember that. Yeah, I didn't necessarily mean in terms of tool. I literally just saw the big showdown between him and what was it that like massive like tank dude.
The mountain.
Yeah, like I just resaw like part of that fight scene on X earlier today, so that's why it's like fresh in my mind.
Watching that live and rooting for the Viper. And playing like, please stop screwing around, because you remember it was a trial of
was stressed when that was happening.
Trial of combat for Tyrion. So it's kind of a similar storyline, right?
Yeah.
Tyrion's looking for a fighter, and then Oberyn decides, oh, I'll fight for you. And he's technically a much better fighter than the Mountain. The Mountain's just a brute force, and Oberyn decided to be a showman about it.
Yep.
And he got his eyes caved into the back of his skull, which I will never forget the sound of that and the sight of that. Dear goodness gracious. And then Tyrion's face after it happens.
Yeah. After it starts off so well, too.
And doesn't his girl start screaming, too? Oberyn's girl, like, after it happens?
I think so.
Ugh.
Sounds vaguely familiar. Well, man, poor Pedro Pascal. He's got a thing with getting his head bashed in, doesn't he?
What else is he on his head bashed in?
Oh. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't want to say it just in case somebody hasn't watched it, but...
Okay, yeah.
You know what it is.
Not funny,
No,
man.
it's not
too
funny.
soon.
I know. It cuts deep even after years.
He's He kind of has a bit of a Sean Bean thing going. He's dying in all the movies he's in.
Didn't
Anyways,
the machete guy, doesn't he do that too? Every time he plays a villain, like I think it's written in his contract that his character has to die.
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Is that his name? No, machete guy is
Machete.
Danny Trejo.
Yeah, Danny Trejo. That's right.
Yeah, Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
All right. So we end the episode with Baylor showing up. I will stand for Dunk. And then the neigh of the horse, and cuts to black. So next episode, unless we get some flashback stuff going on,
I hope not.
It should be the battle, and I hope that they don't drag this to the point of that this battle doesn't happen until episode 6. Which, by the way, if that's the case, I think people would be disappointed if they decided to release this episode on. I think they're going to be disappointed regardless. The battle needs to happen next episode. It cannot be a milk this thing.
No,
and then
the battle's it's going to happen next episode. I will be extremely surprised. I actually thought we might get the battle this episode. I know the episodes are short, but I'm like, we're like, I don't know, to the point where he's giving the speech, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, literally like, oh, cool, we've got 10 minutes left. We might actually have a showdown here. And then I'm like, oh right, the credits are literally 7 minutes long. Like, that's wild.
Essentially, if you would have released this show differently, I think the only way you do it is episodes 1 through 3 would have been like episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been episode 2. It would have been a big episode 2. It would have been a little bit longer than this, right? Include the battle, and then the final 2 episodes would be the resolution of whatever happens after the battle.
Yeah.
Right.
And Dunk really fills out his armor, though. Like, he looked like a beast, like riding his horse.
He did.
Into the field.
I can't get over how cool some of the Targaryen armor looks.
That's epic. It's what money will get you, man.
It's super epic. Anyways, that's all I got.
All right. You want to do any I mean, I don't know. Any categories for this? Favorite character, favorite scene?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to go first? Favorite character?
Favorite character for me. This is the type of episode where you want to say Dunk, but then you think of like some of the moments of the side characters. And a lot of side characters had moments in this episode. I'm going to say I will go Dunk for this episode.
Really?
But Baylor is very close to superseding him in my mind.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I would say Baylor is great. I loved him, but I mean, come on, Raymond. Like,
Raymond. Okay,
stepping it up, bro.
Okay.
He's stepping it up. Also,
yeah, that's not bad.
Didn't we see Sir Robin Riesling or whatever in
the eyeless night? Yeah,
Dunk's camp.
He says, I would have died a happy king servant, but when the crown goes against the gods, I go against the crown. Or something like that.
Great line, by the way. It was a great line.
It's like, it feels like back to peak Game of Thrones writing. I don't know how many of these lines are straight out of the book, but I'd love to read it after this series is over. Again, actually read it, not listen to it. And speaking of characters that had kind of good moments, I thought Darren had a really fun moment showing up at the tent. I thought he, did really well. Baylor, obviously. I think Arian being a little prick is doing great at his role.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
And Egg did terrific in this episode as well.
Egg did good. Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't do good at all or anything like that. He's just not my favorite in this episode. I think there's a lot of shining moments from characters. I also like Dunk's line when he was like, "Well, they can't kill me twice," right? When he put the knife to.
On second watch, my first reaction was, "Okay, you're gonna kill the prince." Yeah, seriously. But then when he acknowledges the craziness of what he did and says, "Well, you're gonna kill me twice," in other words, like he's not scared of repercussions at this point, because at this point he has no knights joining him except Sir Stefan, supposedly.
Yeah, this guy's Dunk is literally getting a trial by fire. First time showing up. I mean, I think one of my favorite scenes was really just. I loved it when Dunk was getting his shield. That was nice. What did
you think of the design?
It came out much better than I expected. I was expecting something a little like corny and too green and colorful and all of that stuff. So I kind of liked the drama of the sunset, the darker tree and whatnot.
I believe that she went completely off the creative brief. Like, she did not listen to what Dunk said. Dunk said he wanted dawn. He did not want sunset. I think he said he wanted the sun rising. You know,
I mean,
he got sunset instead. And he thought it was kind of like a bad omen to the point where the blacksmith was like, brother, those are summer leaves. The tree's alive.
Yeah, I mean, Dunk comments, he's like, it looks like death. Maybe death for whoever's on the other side of it. But for me, favorite scene was just, Dunk, knighting or suiting up, going to give his little speech, and seeing Baylor come out. Like, it was just peak. It was great.
I thought Sir Lionel gets an honorable mention as well. Epic. He's kind of like the epic, chaotic character that everybody always loves in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I can get behind him. Anything else you wanna touch on?
That's it, man. I don't got anything else. I gave a lot.
So
poured my heart out.
I wanted to go back for a moment to the vision, right? That Egg got. What was it, last episode?
Egg?
Yeah, remember where the lady walks up and she's like, you're going to become king, and then, you're going to die, and everybody's going to praise your death or something like that. Am I completely off on like timelines here, or does Egg become the Mad King? Like, I feel
I can't
feel
answer
like
these
that.
questions.
I mean, I'm assuming, I'm going off of what I've seen. Like, we've seen the little bits of bloodlust from this little kid. I feel like I could see a scenario where he grows up, he becomes the Mad King, and deviates just from everything that you would expect from Dunk.
Anakin style?
Yeah, something like that. Like, I mean, like, I'm sure there's something that would happen to him if this is the case. I'm sure there's something that would happen to this kid. But it just keeps bugging me. I'm like, he seemed like if he were to be king with the way that I see his character right now, I mean, I feel like it would be pretty decent for all things considered. Like, he seems level-headed, wants to educate himself. I'm struggling to see a scenario how somebody.
You never know how that incest in your blood shows up in later years.
It's right? True, right? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, right? So I could see a switch getting flipped or something like that, but yeah, I don't know. I've been sitting with that all week, and I'm like, man, there's something there. So I don't want to look it up because I don't want to spoil myself. But
I can't answer these questions for you, but you'll have to keep watching.
I'm gonna keep watching. I'm ready for it. It can't come soon enough.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode, I hope you guys subscribe by now. And we hope you're enjoying our coverage on Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Not sure what show we're going to do after this, but we're enjoying the ride here on Story Archives.
Absolutely. Well, you can find this podcast anywhere you find podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, like button, drop a comment on the video or the audio, whatever you're listening to. And we will catch you in the next one.
See ya on the next one.
Peace.